Good afternoon. I'm going to welcome you to another segment, another segment today of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Today, again, is March 26, 2025, on a Wednesday afternoon. Usually, I don't do two shows in a day on a particular topic, but today's going to be a special day. I mentioned in my first show earlier today how two iconic franchises ended up screwing up the most important position for the last 7 years. And you can go back and watch that, and that's a good one. But on this particular one, I want to talk about how the NFL and the media, the sports media, hates Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts. You say, well, Jermaine, hate is a strong term. Let me tell you why in this case it isn't. And when I'm talking about the NFL, I'm referring to teams, which has to do also with personnel, GMs, and coaches. I want you to remember that. Now you say, well, Jermaine, why would you say that they hate Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts? Well, let's keep it in mind. Let's start off when they got drafted. In 2018, Lamar got drafted with the 31st pick in the first round. Now, never mind that his accomplishments was every much that of Baker Mayfield, who was the number one pick that year. Okay? Baker won a Heisman, Lamar won a Heisman. They both had prolific college careers. Yet, no one ever said Baker switched positions. Baker, you can't play in the NFL as a quarterback. But they said that about Lamar. One GM, an iconic GM, a Hall of Fame GM, even suggested openly that LeBron switched positions, become a wide receiver, a running back or a wide receiver, just not the quarterback because he couldn't throw the football, which was a lie, but that lie was perpetuated by a lot of people. A lot of teams did not want to deal with Lamar because they did not think he could be a passer. Because, he can't pass from the pocket, right? Okay. So a lot of teams, including my New York Jets, passed on him that year. And Baltimore had the foresight to say, let's go back into the first round and get Lamar Jackson. Because Lamar fell all the way to the end, though he should have never fell to the end. But because of his style of play, that's why he fell to the end. The NFL don't like his style of play. Jalen Hurts, a couple of years later, had to fall to the second round. Never mind that he was on the same team as Tua Tagovailoa. I hope that's how I pronounce his name. I'll pronounce his name correct. Never mind that they were on the same team, that they both was responsible for helping Alabama win a championship. One won in the top 5, the other second round. Same draft. Jalen Hurts, that quote unquote running quarterback, who everybody said can't really throw from the pocket, not that good, won a Super Bowl and was Super Bowl MVP. Then you say, well, why did they hate them? Because they were every bit as good as the guys who got drafted above them. Okay? Yet they all fell because of their style of play. They both fell because of their style of play. You remember a guy by the name of Colin Kaepernick? That year, 2012, he gets drafted in 2011 or so. He gets drafted in the second round by San Francisco. Cincinnati had a chance to get him, but Cincinnati wanted Andy Dalton because he was a traditional pocket quarterback. San Francisco said, we'll take a shot on my man Colin Kaepernick, and Colin Kaepernick helped get them to the Super Bowl. Now, they didn't win the Super Bowl. And see, for many years, you kept hearing the media, and the media perpetuated this lie, but it wasn't a lie, but it was misleading. What do you mean, Jermaine? They would always say, you can't win at the highest of levels in this game with a running quarterback. Never mind that Steve Young was a running quarterback. Roger the Dodger was a running quarterback. John Elway was a quarterback who could run. So this is not the first time a running quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl. What they were really saying is that you can't win in this league as a black running quarterback, because why? A black running quarterback has never won a Super Bowl. And that is true up until Jalen Hurts. Now you say, but Jermaine, hate is still a strong word. Is it really? I want to take you back a couple of years. Lamar Jackson was 26 years old in 2023. That means he was just hitting the prime of his career. He was already an MVP. He was already one of the best quarterbacks in the league by every metric, except he didn't have the best passing numbers, but put that aside. But he was considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yet Baltimore said in 2023, well, you know what? We don't think you're worth what you say you're worth. Go out and see what other teams offer you, and then we'll see if we'll match. No other team put in a bid for him, including my New York Jets. That was a team that I was begging the Jets to put in a bid for Lamar, because why? Getting Lamar at the age of 26, now you got somebody for the next 10 to 15 years. But nobody put in a bid for them. And the excuse these teams used, including the media, was, well, Baltimore wasn't going to let him get out of they were never going to let him get out of Baltimore. Baltimore was going to match whatever offer the team put, so they didn't want to waste their time. Okay. I knew that was nonsense. You want to call it, to keep it PG, we're going to just say it was nonsense, bull crap, baloney, just keeping it PG. Okay? That was nonsense. And how do you know? Well, Jermaine, you can't prove that it was or wasn't. No, here's how I can prove that. Just this year, they're coming off this season. Matthew Stafford. Now, Lamar has more accomplishments individually than Matthew Stafford. They both got, well, no, now, Lamar, I mean, Matthew at least has one Super Bowl ring. Lamar doesn't. But from a individual, he has more accomplishments. Matthew Stafford has many more yards passing, but he's a traditional pocket passer, especially at this stage of his career, because he's 37 years old. And what did the Rams say? The Rams said to Matthew Stafford at the end of the season, we don't think you're worth what you're asking for, because Matthew Stafford wanted to get paid about $50 million. We don't think you're worth $50 million. Go on the market and let's see what they will offer, and we'll see if we'll match. Two teams immediately, they tripped over themselves to go and make Matthew Stafford a serious offer. The Las Vegas Raiders and the New York Football Giants. And I heard that it was a significant offer. Only for the Rams to say, oh, so the Rams, the Raiders, and the Giants want you? Okay, well, then you know what? We'll give you the money for him to stay with LA. So what happened to that? Well, LA wasn't going to let Matthew Stafford go, because it was clear that Matthew preferred to stay in LA. But they just couldn't come to a contract agreement. So what happened to that? Well, LA wasn't going to let Matthew Stafford go, so why bother? See, all of a sudden, when it came to that quarterback who has a different skin complexion and basically is a pocket passer, now all of a sudden the rules are different. So what did that tell me? That tells me they don't like the fact of Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts doing what they do. Because see, when they're doing it and playing at the highest level and having success, especially Jalen Hurts, ultimately winning the Super Bowl. Even the media now says we can no longer say you can't win a Super Bowl with the running quarterback when they really mean you can't win a Super Bowl with the black running quarterback. Because why? Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl and he was the leading rusher on his team in the Super Bowl because Kansas City did everything they could to stop Saquon Barkley, and they did a great job of it. Saquon didn't hurt them. Jalen Hurts did with both his arm and his leg. And then afterwards, even the defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, said, we can't stop that quarterback because why? He hurts us in both ways, his arm and his leg. Just like few years prior in that Super Bowl against the same team, he was hurting both with his arm and his leg. That's what he said. That mobile quarterback is difficult to deal with. So now this explains to me why Lamar Jackson fell all the way in the first round. This explains to me why all of a sudden Lamar Jackson couldn't even sniff an offer, though he was at the tender age of 26 at the time when he became a free agent. But yet teams was really give the farm to Matthew Stafford. Because Matthew Stafford, they don't have to change their style of play for Matthew Stafford. They don't got to change their offense for Matthew Stafford. But you got to change your offense for Lamar Jackson. You got to change your offense for Justin Fields. You got to change your offense for Jalen Hurts. And they don't really want to do that. This is why, especially if you're that type of quarterback, a Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields type quarterback, the team you go to really matters because they have to believe and lean into what you do best for you to be successful. And I've always said this before, and I say it again: more more often teams fail the quarterback than the other way around. Because a lot of times teams don't put quarterbacks in a position to be successful. This is why I'm glad that Baltimore drafted Lamar and not say the Jets. Now the Jets is my team, but the Jets would have never utilized Lamar the way Lamar was utilized. They would have never allowed him to grow into becoming the passer he is today. Now he's a 4,000-yard passer. But he's never been a 4,000-yard passer before in his career. But he is now. 7 years in. 7 seasons in. See, now they're looking for that 4,000-yard passer now. So imagine if they would have drafted Lamar, they would not have allowed him to be who he is today. And you would not have the Lamar you have today. But because he went to the right team who says we're willing to lean into what he does best, now you get Lamar playing at the highest of levels. You get Jalen Hurts playing at the highest of levels. This is why I believe that Justin Fields is going to be successful with the Jets. And I want to show you a little stat as to why I'm saying this. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay. So in the 2023 season, which is Justin Fields' last season in Chicago, the team started 0-4, 0-4. Because why? They was asking Justin Fields to stay in the pocket and throw the quarterback like a normal quarterback, like a Matthew Stafford. They was asking him to be like a Matthew Stafford. And then it was against Tampa Bay, and I'll never forget it. They lost to Tampa Bay. And Justin Fields, for the first time, complained. Justin Fields, up to this point, never complained. But for the first time, Justin Fields complained. He says they're not utilizing him right. They're setting him up to fail, yada, 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 yada. So then the team said, all right, you know what? You say that you can play better a different way. All right, we're going to lean into what you do best. Now, remember, they didn't have a great defense. Their defense was okay, but it wasn't great. And they didn't have a good offensive line. Two things you need to be successful with the Fields Lamar style of play. You need a great defense because you got to keep the score low, and you need an excellent offensive line so you can protect them and allow opening up those running lanes and stuff. And when he has time to throw the football, he has protection. You got to have those two things. Those are too much for the type of quarterbacks that Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and Justin Fields are. For those type of quarterbacks, you got to have that. Those are must-haves. Okay? So the Bears was lacking that. The Bears they had a decent defense, not a great defense, not a good defense, decent, but their offensive line was below average. So they started the season 0-4. They only had one major weapon in DJ Moore, but they started the season 0-4. Then Justin Fields complained because why? He was looking bad, and the team was on getting ready to go for an 0-4 on their record, which means Fields would have been failing. And then he complained. Then they changed the offense to fit more what Fields does, and they ended up with a 7-9 season. And considering that they were 0-4, that's a good finish. Where if they would have made the change sooner, he could have won 10 games, 11 games. But they waited until 5 games in to make the change. By then, it's too late. But he ended up with a 7-9 season. And then in 2024, he started the season at 4-2. Okay? So since he went 0-4 to start the 2023 season, his record is 11-7. So that means he actually has a winning record since the fifth game of the 2023 season. Okay? So that tells you that if you put the offense, see, the teams don't want to deal with that style because that requires a commitment. You got to have a commitment to play that kind of a style. See, you heard of a guy by the name of Greg Roman? Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator for Colin Kaepernick. When Colin Kaepernick had his best season, and Colin Kaepernick helped lead San Francisco to the Super Bowl, and Colin Kaepernick was on his way to becoming a superstar before they got rid of both Greg Roman and the coach there, Jim Harbaugh. Then Kaepernick fell down, because they was asking him to be something he wasn't ready for or wasn't prepared for, which is being a pocket quarterback. That wasn't what he was at that time. And so now he's out of the league. And he was really out of the league not because of that. He was out of the league because he had the temerity to take a knee against the national anthem about police brutality. So standing up for black folks, he ended up paying an ultimate price, the loss of his career, because they also didn't like his style of play anyway. So then now you come here with Lamar. Lamar, they telling him switch position, do this, do that, anything but play the quarterback because they don't like his style of play. They hate him because why? He is defying their so-called rules. He's defying their so-called beliefs. Jalen Hurts is defying their so-called beliefs that you can't win with a black quarterback, a black running quarterback. Because they weren't referring to white running quarterbacks because they knew that there were right running quarterbacks in the history. Because even Steve Young said, and this came out of Steve Young's mouth, folks. Don't blame me. Don't argue with me. If you got a problem, take it to Steve Young. Steve Young said this. I was Michael Vick before Michael Vick. I was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson. I was Jalen Hurts before Jalen Hurts, and I was Justin Fields before Justin Fields. These were his words, not mine. These were his words. And so argue with Steve Young if you have a problem with that, because Steve Young was right. He was them before them, and yet he won Super Bowl, but it didn't matter because his skin color was white. Josh Allen was white, is white. So it's okay if Josh Allen runs around and do what Cam Newton did. What they're gonna say is Cam Newton didn't win a Super Bowl. They ain't gonna say Josh Allen didn't win a Super Bowl, even though Josh Allen and Cam Newton have the same game plan. I call Josh Allen a better version of Cam Newton because that's what he is. A more accurate Cam Newton because that's what he is. But they didn't say that Josh Allen can't win no Super Bowl. But they say Cam Newton couldn't win the Super Bowl, and Cam didn't. He came close, but he didn't win the Super Bowl. And it didn't matter that they came close. It's just the matter was they never won, so they could always use that as an excuse until Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl. Then someone finally admitted the truth. We can no longer say the running quarterback, and I'm going to insert black because that's what they mean. The black running quarterback can no longer win the Super Bowl, can't win the Super Bowl, can't win at the highest levels because he just did. Okay, because they don't consider Patrick Mahomes a runner, though he is. And so this is why the NFL and the media hates Lamar, hates Jalen Hurts, and now hates Justin Fields. See, why you think Aaron Glenn? Why do you think? And I want people put on your thinking caps. Use common sense here. Why do you think Aaron Glenn, who's getting his first head coaching job and maybe his only shot at a head coaching job, because it's not like black head coaches can go from one team to another. It doesn't work that way for us for most part. I mean, yeah, Tony Dungy did it, but he had success in his first stop in order to do that. Then you had Herm Edwards, and then you had Todd Bowles. But usually it doesn't work that way for black head coaches. So Aaron Glenn is getting his first shot as the head coach and maybe his only shot. And he said, I'm going to move off the iconic Aaron Rodgers, who wasn't iconic for the Jets, by the way. He was iconic for the Packers. He wasn't iconic for the Jets. I'm going to move off of him, which set New York media ablaze and the Jets fan base ablaze because most of the Jets fan base was not in favor of this move. Moving off of Aaron Rodgers. What are you doing? And then you pick Justin Fields. He can't throw the football. He can't throw the football. Wow, that sounds very familiar. Um, I'm going to put a link into the description of someone that they said couldn't throw the football. And yet now that man's a two-time league MVP, one of the best quarterbacks in the history of one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game. And he just so happens to play in Baltimore. But they said he couldn't throw the football. So I found that ironic. Oh, they also said just that Jalen Hurts couldn't throw the football. That's why he was in the second round. Look at Jalen Hurts. He can't throw the football. He's not as good as this guy. He's not as good as that guy. Yet he beat those guys. And yet he's hosting the Vince Lombardi Trophy. He beat Lamar Jackson. He beat Joe Burrow, whom everybody says is better. He beat Josh Allen, whom everybody says is better. He beat them. He's beaten every top quarterback in the game today. He's beaten them. He beat Patrick Mahomes and should have beat him the first time. Unlike Joe Burrow, now Joe Burrow has some success against Patrick Mahomes, but Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson struggle against Patrick Mahomes. Yet Jalen Hurts have no problem looking him dead eye to eye and going toe to toe with him and say, "I can beat you at your own game." Yet the other one's kind of coward. Oh, he's Patrick Mahomes. He's the boogeyman. He's the please. They look Jalen Hurts, man. That's a baller for you, bro. But the point still being, these guys whom people say can't throw the football, yet now remember Jalen Hurts. Keep this in mind. won a Super Bowl for throwing less than 3,000 yards in a season. That burns them up because they're saying now this is a passing league. This is a passing league. So you need a quarterback who throws for over 4,000 to win a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts just showed you, no, you don't need that. And I love a quote by Jalen Hurts. Just because I don't mean I can't. Doesn't mean I can't. Just because I don't doesn't mean that I can't. I love that line. Just because he doesn't throw for 4,000 or 5,000 yards doesn't mean he can't. It's just that their team is set up a certain way and he plays to that. And guess what? He won a lot of games. And guess who is seeing this? Guess who is seeing this? Aaron Glenn. Why do you think Aaron Glenn said, I'm going to move off the four-time MVP Aaron Rodgers, who put up almost 4,000 yards in a bad season for the Jets, in a bad year for him. He almost got 4,000 yards passing. I think he had about, 3,800 yards passing or something like that. And I'm going to go get me Justin Fields because why? I want that mobile quarterback. Why? Because he saw what Justin Fields did to his defense when he was back in Detroit, when Justin Fields was in Chicago. And he knows, see, Aaron Glenn knows where the future of this game is at. It's not in the guy who sits in the pocket and throw the football. It's in that guy who has that mobility, but who can throw from the pocket. See, all of this, oh, you need a pocket quarterback. You need a pocket quarterback. No, you don't. You need a quarterback who can throw from the pocket. See, there's a difference. Because when you say you need a pocket quarterback, then that means that quarterback, in order to be successful, he has to stay in the pocket and throw. That's not true. Not in today's game. That's not true. Now, there was a time where that might have been true, but it is not true now. And truthfully, there never really was true. Because, again, John Elway won a Super Bowl not being a traditional pocket quarterback. Steve Young certainly wasn't no pocket quarterback. I don't care what these people say. Brett Favre wasn't no pocket quarterback. Aaron Rodgers wasn't no pocket quarterback. Yet they all won Super Bowls. You know who were pocket quarterbacks? Tom Brady, Drew Brees. And Brees early in his career wasn't a pocket quarterback, but that's neither here nor there. Peyton Manning, Eli Manning. Those guys are what you call traditional pocket quarterback, folks. And I'm not saying that there's no room in today's NFL for them, but now they're few and far in between because teams now today is looking for that athletic quarterback who can run and get out of certain situations. And they're saying, well, you look at Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur Sanders. Oh, they're labeling him a pocket quarterback. No, he's not really a pocket quarterback. He's much more athletic than people. He just prefers to stay in the pocket. But he's a very athletic quarterback himself. But he just prefers to stay in the pocket. And you do need to have guys who can throw from the pocket. If you can't throw from the pocket, then you cannot play in a quarterback in the NFL. And that's another thing. I keep hearing people say Justin Fields can't throw from the pocket. Justin Fields can't throw from the pocket. Here's another history lesson for you. A pop quiz. Name the last quarterback to lead the league in the season in rushing from the quarterback position who couldn't throw the football. Name the last quarterback to do it. Because let me explain something to you. You're not rushing for over 1,000 yards in a season as from the quarterback position if you have no ability to throw the football. So you see, that's another lie. See, there's so many different lies being told. Because truthfully, what they're really telling you is we don't like or want that style of play. That's what they're really saying. They just don't want to come out and say that. But the NFL teams and the media hate these guys' style of play. That's why they hate them. I want to thank you for watching another segment of the Jermaine Brown Sports Talk Show. Have a good evening.